Hi, everyone. Welcome to The 60 Project, a podcast produced by Livewire Productions in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is a podcast about navigating our 60s. I'm Tracy Thomas, and I just finished my first film, a featured documentary called My First and Last Film, where I sought out to learn more about turning 60, talking to 60-year-olds, and dealing with the loss of my mother and my filmmaker partner and boyfriend, Dennis Peters. But even when I finished the film, I didn't feel like I was done interviewing people in their 60s. I wanted to learn more about what's next. And this is where the 60 Project begins, a podcast where I ask people about the big ones, about death, dying, love, loss, and about recognizing yourself even better with every passing day. Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 60 Project podcast. It is Thursday, April 2nd, 2020, and this is episode number 4 of the podcast, and I am your host, Tracy. And because we are in a pandemic situation, we are doing things differently as we did last week for episode number 3. We're doing it remotely. Instead of having my guest sitting across the table from me, we're doing it remotely. We want to make sure we keep everybody safe and healthy and still bring you good content, a sense of normalcy, if you will. And I also want to just thank my producer, Kristen, who is behind the scenes producing this podcast and editing it and putting the music to it and just making it look really pretty and wonderful. So thanks to Kristen. And just a little bit of housekeeping here. You can find this podcast on YouTube and Spotify and Facebook and I don't know, there's something else I can't remember, but that will all be in the show notes, etc. So keep a lookout for that. So let's get into it. My guest today is a tremendously talented musician who, in fact, scored my first and last film, which is a film I directed over the last 5 years. So she scored the film all by herself, a one-woman show, wrote the music, performed the music all by herself. And she also, the music you'll hear on this podcast, so the intro and the outro, that's her music as well. And she's joining us today from Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. Please say hi to Cathy Grier. Hi, Cathy.
Hey, nice to see you. And of course, Lily, my dog, is barking. Somebody must be walking by.
Hi, Lily, wherever you are.
She'll wander in at some point.
Thanks for joining us. How are you holding up during this pandemic situation? Let's get that out of the way for starters.
Well, thank you for asking. I feel pretty privileged because normally I work at home anyway when I'm not traveling and doing gigs. That's the hard part, is I'm not doing any gigs, but the good part is I'm comfortable just working out of my home. I live in a beautiful part of Sturgeon Bay. I can go out and walk the bridges and self-distancing from people and get some work done.
Yeah, there she is. She's saying hello to us.
Bill, Lily, maybe she'll come. I speak French to her.
Maybe she wants to be on the podcast.
Apparently, she never works.
I feel the same way as you do. I feel privileged. I've been retired quite a while, and I'm at home 24/7 anyway. I mean, I have commitments, obviously, and things I do and hobbies and interests, but being home alone is not a huge stretch for me. I just have to be more creative with my time because there's certain things I not allowed to do or can't do. Things are closed. So, but I feel pretty fortunate as well. I'm very lucky. I think it might be pretty challenging for people that, I was just talking to Kristen about that have 9-to-5 jobs and now they're at home and they're like, what do they do? Even if they don't have kids and they're home alone, it's like they probably really have to be creative with their time. So, I don't know. Are you feeling healthy?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a healthy person anyway. I live really, really, I've been a vegetarian for years and just good mindfulness practices. But here she is.
Hey, Lil, how are you?
What it was is that the mail carrier came, and when the mail carrier comes, she gets treats.
Oh, there you go.
And it's like the only social action that she has is looking out the window at people walking by right now. So she's a very social pup, as I am. And it's hard being a musician that's used to performing. And I so appreciate this. Like, I can see you, can't
Exactly.
touch you, but you know, it's like, so, yeah, it's an interesting time. I'm staying healthy. I kind of knew this was coming because I was planning on being in France
That's right.
during in the beginning of March. So I was following what was going on there in February, and then of course I'm from New York, so I've got the rear view mirror on like huge.
Yeah.
So you know,
Okay.
wow, it's now more than ever be creative. I keep doing posts called making things better by making better things and being positive and. But I don't have children, and I'm not. My world isn't in that kind of an upheaval like so many. And I think podcasts like this will be helpful. Everyone's taken to live streaming and Zoom conferencing, and so
Right.
it's really wonderful. Now it's a great time for you to be doing this.
It's a whole, and that's what I said a few weeks ago, either on the podcast or just to people in general. It's like, this is, we are living in a good time with all this technology. I mean, this is a godsend. Can you imagine if we didn't have this at all, to be able to talk to people or text people even, or I don't know, it would be a whole different situation. It might be a lot more grim, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
we are connected in our social distancing. We're socially connecting here. So
Right. And it's good for me because of my age, the learning curve sometimes is a little larger and a little more challenging. So I'm finding it it's a little nerve-wracking in spots, but I got people helping me through it, and actually a lot of it is not that challenging, not that difficult, I should say. So I'm learning new things as well, teach an old dog new tricks. Sorry, Lily, but it's the way it goes.
well, last year at this time, I was finishing up our project together. So it was a really perfect thing for me to be in my studio, working, going for walks. There wasn't a pandemic, but so
Right.
here we are a year later, and so much has changed. And I was finishing up an album, so I was going to be planning on, getting all the material together for performances, merchandise, all those things that now is just on hold. There's really
Right.
nothing I could do about it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's so much that's out of our control, but I want to tell the audience, Cathy has been very instrumental, nice pun intended, very instrumental in bringing music to the masses via Facebook, and I don't know what other outlets you're using, but you've got an album coming out, and we'll talk about that later as well. But you're playing songs every day from that album and dancing, and just trying to get people motivated and inspired and just put a smile on their face. So that's like, there's the technology right there that's being put to good use, for sure.
Well, it's funny because when I'm stressed out, I dance.
Yeah.
And one morning in the beginning of March, I was just dancing in my living room by myself because I was already self-isolating, and I canceled my trip to France, and I was feeling really blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, on my record stuck in the recording studio. I can't finish it because it just needs to be mixed and mastered, but you can't release a record unmixed or mastered, just in the same way you can't release a film that's not been going through all the steps that
Right.
it takes. And those last steps are very crucial, especially in a digital world. So I thought, well, I could dance to my record. And then so I started dancing to my record. And then I thought, oh, I could dance to my record and film it and put it on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and my website, and continue self-promotion. So that's basically how that was born. Now 17 tracks on my record, 17 days in a row. That's been a lot of intense work. So it ended yesterday on April Fool's Day.
Oh, it did? You already did 17 days on Facebook of the
Yes.
dancing? Wow.
17 whole days.
I guess you'll have to make a new album and, start again.
Yes, but I have to shut down and write that record. So.
Or you could just start from the beginning again in case somebody missed some of those dance episodes.
Oh, they can find it on YouTube, that's for sure.
They can find it on YouTube. I want to ask you, you turned 60 back in November, didn't you?
I did. Mm-hmm.
And how is that feeling to you? And does the pandemic situation have any effect on that as well as how you feel and how you handle things? But in general, how does 60 feel?
I love 60. I love that I turned 60. It was a great number to get to for obvious reasons, that you almost feel like you get a free pass. You get to 60 and you can I'm in a situation as a performer and a musician. As long as I keep my body in shape, I'm never retiring. My brain will always be creative. I can come up with a gazillion ideas every single day. I play every day. I miss performing, but turning 60, I thought, well, at least since I never broke through as that artist that people, the masses really heard about, except for my nice loyal following that I've been growing for 40 years. I figured like it might be easier to say, and she's over 60, so maybe in my 60s there will be some acknowledgement because I'm just too old.
Well, there might be some limitations that come with well,
and can you believe she's still doing it at 60, that kind of thing, so
well,
it keeps me together.
Yeah, and I think, back to the health thing, if we're healthy, our 60s can be awesome. If you're not staying active and being mindful of how you take care of yourself, that could be a different story. As we, there's a lot of musicians out there, as we know, the Rolling Stones, all big bands, and they're still out there. But I mean, I don't know if that's well, they're in their 70s and 80s. That's a whole different thing. But I don't know if you're going to keep going in your 70s and 80s.
Well, it all comes down to one thing, and I think this gets back to your question. Turning 60, I am not saying that the clock is ticking, but that my ability to keep at this, to try and break through, it reached a point where I said to myself, and I've been in Wisconsin now for 4 years from New York. Big change, developing my following, starting to really get great gigs, which of course are all on hold right now, but that in order for me to grow, I needed a product, and the products that I had were just me live in the studio, voice and guitar, and people have heard me with my band and they wanted to hear a band record, and I made the decision last year to produce a full record with all these tracks with a lot of artists and a lot of guest artists. And the point being that I'm going to have great gigs of 200 to 700 people in the audience. People are going to want a product. It will be radio friendly. It was the next step up. I hired a beautiful designer for the cover. I've got design ready for merchandise. I've got all sorts of great ideas. And suddenly now, and the point being pre-pandemic, was that if that didn't work out, if all of that through 2020 didn't work out, the 2021, it's just like, work in my garden, teach, play when I feel like teach, play when I feel like playing, teach when I feel like teaching. I just stop this pushing through, because that part is, I'm not those artists. I'm not Bonnie Raitt. I'm not all those things people like to compare me to, but there is a Bonnie Raitt. So there's only one Cathy Grier, but if Cathy Grier is like a tree in the forest and nobody hears it falling, I just kind of feel like, why keep going? I do it for my pleasure, because it's something that I have within me, a fire within me to want to keep going. So even at turning 60, the only difference is that I kind of say to myself, all right, it's kind of unsustainable to keep pushing these gigs if I'm not going to get any financial return or any really big return from it, besides waking up in the morning going, my body hurts.
Yeah.
Because I jump. I run around. I have a wireless mic pack. I jump up on bars. I run around. That's not going to happen this year. Even with this pandemic, supposedly going to wind down, social distancing is going to be the norm for a very long time.
I believe so too. I totally believe that it's going to be, you can already feel, there's just all going to be, it's not going to be the same world. It's not going to be the same world. And maybe, people will be kinder, there will be more compassion, and humanity will make a comeback. And, yeah, I hear what you say about the 60 thing though. Or as far as you continuing on in your 60s, I mean, it might not be sustainable financially. Yeah, so there's that. And is that a little unsettling for you?
Yeah, it is, but I have to accept it because, at a certain point, you have to look at the numbers and you just have to say, I am not the 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old artist. And as a 6-year-old artist, I could do this, for a very, very long time, but I can't keep doing it all by myself. And in order for me to have a team, I need to have the resources to do that. I'm not making that kind of money. So my hope was through the new record and merchandise and hopefully good reviews, and little by little, by the end of this year, I would be prime for 2021 blues festivals, and I was gearing up to go to Memphis in January of 2021. You know, all these things that, you know, I knew that this year, because I chose to do the record, I wasn't going to have as many gigs, and I also chose not to immediately say I'm going to take every gig that comes my way, every bar gig in Door County, that I would only play in places that have sound systems, a team already set in place. And I had that. I'm booked at the Thelma Performance Arts Center. I'm booked at Monday nights in Milwaukee, the series there, Summerfest. All of that's now out the window.
All of that's on the hold or canceled or
so
unknown.
my going into this with a very Zen approach, which was like, not, oh, if this doesn't work, it's all over. But your question or your point of how does that make you feel is, yes, I don't want to have to say it's over. It will be different, just in the same way. Our world will never be the same as it was in January.
Right. And like I said earlier, we have to be creative with how we're going to move forward. Not with just technology, but with how we handle our money and how we handle our relationships and how we handle all that stuff, and what's more important in life. And what Dennis said to me in his film, he said, what was once important to me is now not as important. Those things don't mean anything. So we have to, you know, as we get older, that happens anyway, but now even more so with the pandemic thing going on. So it's going to change how we all live, for sure.
Well, and the new currency will evolve. And I'm not talking a dollar bill.
Right.
I mean, right away, I think that is shifting us into every purchase will be some sort of digital purchase, because no one's going to want to touch money.
Yeah, it's going to be a little nerve-wracking for a while, I think.
And currency changes. Look at the price of toilet paper. That became a currency of sorts, a joke, but a currency. It played on our primal desires to hoard. And I think in a world in the 21st century in America, where we haven't had to prepare for anything, what is the one thing in your household you never have? You're always saying, oh, I forgot to buy toilet paper. You're always one roll short of being out of toilet paper. So suddenly when this happened, I think that's why everybody ran to buy reams and reams and rolls of toilet paper.
I guess so. And I heard this morning on some little news bite, they said that toilet paper now really is in short supply. Like they can't make it fast enough. So because of the hoarding, you know, it's a problem now. I don't know.
The jokes have been fun.
The jokes are good. I like some of the jokes, but I'm trying to distance myself from Facebook because, again, I have more meaningful things to do here with my time. I certainly stay on top of things and stay connected, and I'm not living in a bubble, and you know, but I can only handle so much. Even the jokes and stuff are almost getting too much for me. I just need to I took one day off of Facebook last week, and it was like, it was great. It was just like, I didn't think about it. I kind of did stuff. I was busy the whole day. It was nice. So
the steps I had to take from recording me dancing in my living room, putting it on Final Cut, putting the credits on it, because it was really important for me I was also doing this as a way to share my record without releasing a very bad mix. You know, like digital fingerprints are digital fingerprints. So basically a different mix of the song with the same instrumentation is going to look, as far as the software, the same song. And the last thing I needed is to have a song that I didn't approve as a final mix done. I can master this. I can distribute it. The last thing I wanted to do was to get that out there by sending bad mixes to friends or DJs. And so what I decided was, by dancing and talking over it, if anyone ever did copy it, it would be so different that it wouldn't be the same. So the amount of energy that took for me to do that, and then every day post it on my YouTube and write all about it and put the lyrics and put all the credits and do all the links, and then put it on my Facebook, my Instagram, Twitter, all those things. And meanwhile, getting all sorts of comments and commenting on those comments and and posting. So I was able to dip into the whole who's posting what on Facebook, how many live stream concerts and poems and stories and news. So as of after this conversation, I'm shutting off of my my Wi-Fi. I'm just turning my Wi-Fi off. And my cell phone will be on for family and friends to get in touch with me, but I'm planning on taking a break for that, for my self-preservation, because
Right.
I can't change what's going on in the world. I have self-isolated for weeks now, and I'm fine. I'm healthy. I've got a garden I could start growing, but and I'll be writing. I can't be creative if I'm constantly dropping into all these things, these stories.
Exactly. And I feel that way, pandemic or not. I can't be, it's a real time sucker. I mean, obviously there's good uses for the technology, but you know, again, I have a life and I have things to do, and there's so much, like you say, that I cannot control. And to read it all and be immersed in it is not good for anybody's health. I need to stay alert and take care of myself, and it's not selfish. It's like you said, self-preservation. That's the way it is. And you know, I don't know. I do that anyway. I try to. So this is a good lesson, I think, for me to really try and step back even more and really pay
I,
attention to my life and do
it,
things that are going to fulfill me in better ways.
it is a brilliant time, and honestly, there is no breaking news that we need to know about.
Right.
The only news that we need to know about are those, you know, the 3 tenets, which is basically wash your hands, don't touch your face, and distance. So if you could do that, I mean, I've been to the store twice in 3 weeks,
Yeah.
in a very small store, not a big store. I did go to my local wine shop and got a case of wine. So I got wine.
You're all set.
I'm all set. I'm all set.
Is that the store across the street?
Yeah, I do miss the social connections that I would have by performing in clubs, sitting, talking at a bar, having dinner at the bar. That too is going to shift. You know, we're not going to be able to sit this close together in a bar talking to bartenders, or is, you know, the same way we go to events and our bags are checked for bottles and firearms, we're going to have our temperature taken. You know, I don't know what's going to be the new normal of the future.
Yeah, I'm not, you know, I'm not looking forward to it, but again, like you said, acceptance, just accept what comes our way and try to deal with it in that manner. And I adopted that over the last several months, actually. I mean, when this first all started, I was a little freaked out and panicked like everybody else. But once I got into that, accept it, acknowledge, accept, and just kind of, you know, that to me makes a big difference. And I've been kind of doing that over the last year anyway. I feel like as I get older, I want to do more reflection and go inward a little bit more. And I don't need tons of activities. And I certainly like socializing with my friends, but I feel like I don't need to be out and about as much. It's not like I'm antisocial or depressed or anything. It's just kind of like my golden years, if you will. And it feels good to me to go inward and reflect where I've been and where I'm going. And I want my future to be a little more calm, if that makes any sense, or I don't know.
Well, it does. And, you know, I just want to turn it on the question and ask you, because a year ago, you were just finishing up with this amazing project of yours, and the confidence with which you exude now. And I find in hearing and listening to you talk and some of the other posts that you've done, you're centered in this, like doing this project has really taken you. So what is it like for Tracy Thomas, you know, a year basically out of finishing the record? Well, film, everything to me.
Thank you for the nice compliment, by the way. I do feel more calm, and maybe, I think when it was finished, and I believe I had the same conversation with my producer, Kristen, and I feel like it was like almost a big relief when it was over, because it was so much, even though my crew did all the heavy lifting, it was certainly challenging to be in it and live it all over again many, many times. And it was nerve-wracking and challenging and hard and difficult. And so I felt like relieved that it was over, like the tough work was over. So I think then I felt like I could be more centered and be more calm and live my life, you know, because you feel like you're like when you're doing an album, you feel like you're immersed in it, like nothing else around you is going on. because you have to stay focused. So I felt like I was staying focused with the film. And then when it was done, I thought, okay, now I can breathe. I had no more excuses to like, be calm and live my life and do what I want to do. So that's a really good observation from you. So I feel like over the last year, it's funny because I've been saying to people, I think in the last year I've been working towards, looking more inward. So that's very timely. So I guess it has been about a year that I just feel like, I just need to be on that calm path and live a simpler life. Whether that's downsizing or moving somewhere not in the city, I don't know, a small town, I don't know. I'm still kind of trying to figure that out. Of course, now that has all changed. So yeah, that's kind of, I think, did I answer your question? That's kind of rambling.
You don't ramble. You share lots of information in the same realm.
Okay.
I have to say that I was privileged to have been given the early footage, so I was able to see pre-cuts, pre-edits. I was able to see raw footage that was, scenes. I was able to come into your world to be able to produce the kind of music that I hope inspired the documentary to move through certain scenes. Obviously, Carol, the editor, and Kristen, the producer, and you. These are living that experience, and to finally have it buttoned up and to be out in the world for others to see. Has the reaction been what I hoped it would be, and you hoped it would be, like, or even more so?
The reaction has been, because we didn't get into a lot of film festivals, we've only been to like 3 film festivals, but the reaction with those 3 film festivals has been pretty great. A lot of people, I feel like, because I went to as many of them as I could, and I did the Q&A, so people would ask intelligent questions and have thoughtful comments. And I think they were happy that someone was finally giving this topic a voice, as far as feeling nervous about this age and moving forward with your life and what's next. And so people were pretty, like I said, pretty thoughtful about that. And they felt comfortable, like they didn't feel alone, and that they could identify with what I was going through. And not everybody felt the same way, but pretty many people kind of felt the same way. And a lot of people, if they would talk to me after, and they go, I just really loved it, and it spoke to me, and this and that, and I have a friend who's really going to like it, and I'm this age, and how did you do it, and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, the reaction has been pretty right up there. So I'm pretty thankful about that, and that's what gives me joy. I guess it's really not the number of festivals that it's in. I want a lot of people to see it, and I want to spark a lot of conversation, but so that's what's been happening with what we've been doing. We had some local screenings here in Milwaukee at some smaller venues, and the reactions have been the same. So it's pretty, people this age, I think this topic isn't talked about a lot. So I think we were right on track. And I think the reaction has been pretty good. Thanks for asking, by the way, that's great.
Well, I think it ties into what's happening in our world, and ties into the title of your film, my first and last film. I think that maybe it's the first and last film in the world as we knew it.
Oh, yeah.
We're live streaming now. We're Zooming. We're connecting. The conversation with people over 60 is huge, because there are a lot of people who are going to feel very, very isolated.
For sure.
And I think that this is an amazing opportunity to keep that conversation going with how are you doing to keep yourself in shape, and how are you doing to eat well while you're in shelter in place? Because it's not just going to be a couple of weeks now, folks.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was going to ask you that same thing, as far as being this age and being isolated, cocoon, whatever you want to call it. I mean, some of us are okay with it, and some of us are, like I say, healthy and active, and we have good connections with other friends and family. But some people are all alone and have none of that. So they're probably struggling a lot harder than you and I are, and many other people that I know are. So that, I think, is going to be a whole other facet of this as well, right?
Well, if I were honest, I would say that I'm very strong and capable of self-isolating and getting lots of things done. And yes, on a positive note, I'll go outside and work in my garden.
Right.
Maybe I'll get back to doing some Tai Chi or things like that I still love. But Yeah, there's a part of me that's really scared because I am a person that hugs and performs and gets into people's spaces with my music. And so there's a part of me that I don't want to just live stream that because the distance of the, I want to communicate with, I want to feel that person's soul and energy. So
Okay.
that part is scary to me that, check in with me in a couple of months to see what my mental state is like. I'm sure I'm going to have like straw out of my hair and, I'm already a hippie anyway, but I'll be in my garden and hopefully will be writing really fun songs and looking forward to the day where I could just get out there and jump and sing and hug people and, we'll see. But I feel for others that don't have at least all these things that I have.
Right.
How many times
Agreed.
can you clean your kitchen refrigerator, read books? And of course, I'm not talking about people that have health issues, people that need to get out to get prescriptions, children that are in need. Of course, my main concern of if I really go into that place is what happens with people in small quarters, tight quarters that already have a experience of abuses,
Right.
and animals too. So I don't
Right.
want to go to the dark place, but that part of me has this overwhelming acknowledgement. But at the same time, I'm feeling very centered and I feel really beautiful things will come out of this. This is the world as we knew it is over. We can't go back to the way it was. And if we do, wow, what a missed opportunity.
If we do, we haven't learned anything.
Yeah.
If we let that happen, we haven't learned anything. So this is a great opportunity for young and old to embrace what we're going through. No one's, I'm not sure, it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. It's not easy, and it's not going to get, like you say, I feel like right now I'm in a good place, and I've got settled into organizing here and routines, if you will. But check back in a couple of weeks. I might be a different person. I don't know. I might be a little squirrely, but like you, I'm strong. We're strong women, and we're lucky that way. Some people are not so strong, so we need to check in on them. We need to check in on everybody.
Well, you're doing it right now with your podcast. And, and I did it with my dancing in my living room for 17 days. And I'll go back to it. I still do a Music Monday where I turn on my camera and film a song. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm just going to stop going down those, what we call the rabbit holes of following all this news. And I think that people that don't have those, oh, that's what I'm going to do today, tend to go to the device. And I really highly recommend that people have a set timer. Like, I'm going to turn the device on at this time, and I'm going to turn it off at that time, because otherwise you're going to lose the opportunity right now to just, even if it's just to do nothing.
Right.
Boredom is a beautiful thing.
Right. Right. And doing nothing is not a bad thing. I mean, again, I've been doing nothing for a lot of years, and it's okay. You got to give yourself permission to just relax, because you got the time to relax. So why wouldn't you? I mean, you don't want to sit in front of the TV all day long, but I do that. I give myself at least one day a week to just do zero, to just do nothing. I don't turn on my computer. I don't, I might watch Netflix all day. I might read a book or something, but I don't do any laundry. I don't do zero. So it's just kind of,
right.
That helps.
I haven't done that yet. That's coming. And unfortunately the weather's getting better. So
yeah. And I feel like I got time to do all of it. I'm not going to rush to clean up my closets because, like you say, I got time. I'm not going to use it all up right now.
But I do feel the need to inspire people. I'm always that person that thinks of the power of the microphone and being a public performer, that I always, and I have a positive attitude. I think that, yes, I am distancing myself from the sadness of it all. But the truth is that it's there, and that what's going on in the world is there, and that there are going to be people that are really hurt. There are going to be people that are really, they're going to lose their life. We're going to know people that have died, and we just have to keep on keeping on and get through this and come out of it. The Buckminster Fuller had this amazing statement, which I just love. It's emergence from emergency. And I just look forward to what will emerge. We are at a frontier of technology that time that the outmoded systems of our schooling, I mean, today, right before this pandemic really happened, teachers were still buying supplies for their students because it wasn't in the budget. What is wrong with that picture? That we don't have, you know, I don't want to get into it too much, but that we don't have testing and masks, and that all the factories that we could think of aren't shutting down to produce and reopening to produce ventilators and things. Why are we letting states fight this out between them? That's not the United States of America. We have to be a United States to get through.
And we could have a whole podcast on that.
Sorry.
I have lots of information from a girlfriend who's in healthcare, and she's got a whole different outlook on this. So
I bet.
Yeah. But let's kind of get back to, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions.
Go for it.
When you, at this age of 60, is this what you have been wanting to do your whole life? I mean, are you where you thought you would be at this age? Did you have other aspirations, other dreams, other professions? Or, I mean, I don't know. I know you're from New York, so do you want to kind of give a little bitty background and kind of answer that question?
Parents and relatives all from New York City. I had an opportunity when we were my siblings and I were very young. We moved to Connecticut, about an hour and 40 minutes out of Manhattan. So I grew up in a very small rural town in Middlefield, Connecticut. And at 17 years old, I started playing music professionally, and basically went to a community college, and then went to Berklee College of Music for a summer, and then basically went on the road. So from 17 until 60, I've been trying to get there. So it's been a long ride.
Are you there? Are you there? Do you feel like you're there?
If you were to follow any artist, musician that you love and respect, you might say I'm not there, because I'm still struggling to, and I shouldn't use that word, that I'm just not, I haven't had the connections that I feel I've deserved. And I've spent way too much time self-promoting my career instead of being an artist. And those were every year other opportunities that I thought would exist for me as an artist didn't happen. And then I found, one could say, the addiction of the internet, that, oh, just one more thing. If I just learn how to do YouTube, if I just learn how to do all the Instagram and all the all the social media things, I'm going to get there. So I'm tired of that. Yeah. So when I was 17, I thought that I was going to be famous by 20. And then at 20, I thought I'd break through. When I was 30, I did live in Key West, Florida for some time. Toured, had a band in the 80s that had an MTV music video, and then lived in France in the 90s and wrote music for other artists and had hits, but never for my own artist. And then I was producing a French artist, Neil de Fernandez, who sadly died last year, but I translated his French and Spanish albums into English. Wow. And in the late 90s, he wanted, and I was living in France, he wanted to record it in New York City. So when I came back to New York City to record this project with him, my siblings were having babies, and I just thought, and the relationship had ended, and I thought, why don't I just move back to New York? So I moved back to New York in the late 90s and found a whole new world. I mean, I'd been living in France. I thought I was never going to move back to the States. And I started singing in the subway, and I became, because I can't just do one thing without like turning it into something. But I branded it as NYC Subway Girl. And then in the wake of the internet, in YouTube, I started filming that, interviewing people and asking them what inspires them. And I started doing what I called my lo-fi high human content mini documentaries before people had iPhones. I was using a flip camera. And then one thing led to another. And at the end of 2015, I got in a car that I bought and drove around the country and ended up in Wisconsin. So, but I came here for the Steelbridge Music Festival in Sturgeon Bay, and it's an amazing collaborative, and we write 3 times a year. Sadly, Steelbridge is not going to happen this year in June because of the pandemic. But listen, everything is going to have a place. So, am I where I thought that I should be? What is that? Because I've had an entire lifetime of never punching a clock, having highs and lows. I almost apologize for saying struggle, because financially, I stopped struggling when I was 20, because I found that as long as I could just keep playing, there'd always be enough money. And yes, when I was in France and wrote for other artists before iTunes and the internet took over, I made a lot of money doing that. And then, that was fun to finally have that. That was what I aspired to do for myself. And then in New York City, I started engineering for other artists. I engineered live for Alicia Keys. Crazy as it may seem, but I toured, basically we went around the world before her record broke, and I was the only sound engineer. So, I wanted to be Alicia Keys. I wanted to have those opportunities, but since I wasn't, and I wasn't spending time writing the music to make me that artist, and nobody was coming my way, I like to liken my career as being like a sports person who's always on the bench. You're good enough to get signed to the team, but not good enough to play all the time. Or the understudy on Broadway and never gets a chance to go on stage. You're good enough, but you're not good enough to have that role. And I always thought that connecting with my fans directly would be the way to do it and stop going through the big picture of the world. So it's a long answer to your question, but with this record that is now stuck in the studio, my idea was that I would work with my loyal following and work from there and grow it out from there. Instead of here it is and throw it out to the internet and hope that it takes, because there's thousands and thousands of us doing the same thing.
Right. Well, and the only reason I ask that question is because so many people, when they get older and they're aging, 50, 60, and it's like they look back on their life and it's like, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and I wish I would have done that. And, I feel like a failure, and I feel like, but I feel like this age, there's opportunity to have second careers. If anybody wants a second career, or there's so many, just because we're older doesn't mean we should stop creating or living or doing things or having interests, or, some people want to put us out to pasture, like, well, that age group, well, they don't mean anything anymore to society. But as I keep saying, we have a lot to offer, and we are vibrant and smart and intelligent, and
I could do so much, and people have said, you could be in city politics, or you could, be an executive director of organizations. Yeah, I could, but until I finally stopped caring about wanting to keep playing to audiences, and maybe this is going to be the shift for me with the pandemic. We'll see, but no regrets. I've had a phenomenal life.
Good.
Oh my goodness. Even with everything that I've said about, because I was talking more about the successes,
Yeah.
I'm fine. I own my house. I've got a beautiful garden.
Well, there you go. It's all about experiences. I try not to think of it as anymore. It creeps in, successes or failures, because they're all just experiences. And if we hang our hat on, was a failure at this or a success at that, it's nice to get awards and accolades and all that, and get paid, person get paid for, what they're worth and all that. But,
well, I'm a social activist, and I never ever said I should have or can't wait to win a Grammy. That's gone. That's all politics.
Yeah.
What I would say is my feeling was, I don't want to win a Grammy, but I'd love to be invited on an Amnesty International tour, because I care about people, and I'm
applause. Yeah.
So, and I will keep writing songs for people, and I love the project that I did for you, and it was so timely. I was in my 59th year.
Right.
You came along and you said, I'm doing this film about turning 60. I'm like, hey, I'm turning 60. This is great. What a wonderful fitting thing for anyone who says you can't do something because you're 60.
Right.
At 59, you didn't know. You're just like, I heard of this woman and I want her to write the score, and boom. What a beautiful gift.
Well, and you did such a phenomenal job. I was thinking last night about what we're going to talk about today. I was thinking about how, like you said, you got privy to the rough cut and got to watch it so you could compose. And you did such a phenomenal job of hitting the music to the mood of the movie. It was perfect. So, but yeah, who knew I'd be making a film at age 60? What's up with that? That's crazy. So yeah, we can do anything we want. And I think some people are just afraid, but, what have you got to lose? Okay, so it didn't work out, or you didn't like it. Okay, fine. Move on.
Well,
that sounds simplistic, but you know what I mean.
No, but I think to the point is and I think that I know that I am a rare case because I've never my career has been self-made. And it's not like I was a teacher for 40 years and finally retiring, or I worked for
Right.
this company and now I'm retiring, or I'm looking towards retirement. Um, I've never had any of that. All I've had is get up every single morning and work on my music.
And that's pretty, if you put it, when you put it that way, that's pretty great, actually.
Awesome.
You're doing what you love.
My passion is my sanity. Well, actually, my passion for music is just, I was born with that. My sanity is performing for people. So that's why I say, check in with me in a couple of months if I can't performing.
Because that's your lifeline, is being with the people and performing with them, and I gotcha. And to them on a stage,
Being on a stage with a microphone and being able to do a song and talk about women empowerment, or to be able to sing and say 2-3 words, maybe in a lyric or in, that's the thing I've trained. That is my skill set. So I don't know what's going to happen if I don't have that anymore because of what's happened.
Yeah, but then that is a little scary. I mean, but like we keep saying, we're strong, intelligent, independent, adaptable women. We can do this, but that doesn't mean we have to like it, but we can do it.
Exactly. And I also feel like back to before this virus came to town, that
the virus that came to town.
Because love, I say in some of my videos, love is also contagion. Fear is also a virus.
Correct.
We have to be careful about how we let the fear take over. And I don't want to get all woo-woo and sound like I'm some sort of health guru. All I'm saying is the positivity is also something that is
Infectious.
passed on to people. It is infections, and we have to remember that. And we've got these devices that tell us every day the world is falling apart. And I don't want to be Chicken Little here, but the sky is falling. It's just how we choose to live through that shift.
It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
It's all about how you perceive it and how you manage it and how you, I mean, we could all look at it as doomsday, but like I was looking at doomsday when I turned 60. It's like, oh my God, I'm 60. Like, what's happening? It's like, that seems like miles away as far as how I feel now about being this age. Of course, I'm 5 years older, but I certainly don't feel as doomsday about it anymore at all. I feel more, I've just talked with knowing people like you and a couple other of my podcast guests, and they're all lively, active, uplifting people, and that helps me tremendously. So there's that.
I look forward to what the youth are going to do. The youth, I think that we have a lot to look forward to with them.
Yeah.
They will look at this time. Friends of mine in Chicago, every single night, husband, wife, musicians, they perform live stream every night, and their son is dancing around, and he's going to remember this time like no other. It was a time when every single night we turned on the phone and the world came into our home and we danced and we sang. And that's
right.
Kind of a groovy memory. And I hope that he takes that and turns it into something beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how we all grew up. It was a much simpler time. I mean, and we need to get simple back. Well, that remains to be seen. But I've already been
back. I write that down. We're going to need to get simple back.
We need to get simple back. Write it down. Put it in a song.
Well, speaking of getting it in a song, the whole Happiness Blues that I wrote for you,
yes.
I didn't know it was going to make it into the film. I didn't know, but it was inspired by all the transcript that I was hearing and things that you were saying, and it was just like, oh my God, this is so intense, so heavy.
Correct.
Like,
So. You're gonna play a little for us now? Do you have I know you've got a commitment in a little while. Can you play a little bit or not? Not really. It's okay if you can't.
Happy to. I mean, we're talking about Happiness Blues. I could play that a little bit.
Yeah, play a little of it, and because I know you got another commitment, so I don't want to get you late for it. Cathy Grier, everybody, playing a little bit of Happiness Blues, which was in my first and last film.
Sorry, I'm out of tune sitting here. I don't like playing out of tune. I gotta be in tune.
Get in tune, girl.
Just, that's definitely the blues. I'll just play the beginning part.
Okay, thank you.
When I get down on myself, feel so lost, don't know my way. I can be so hard on myself. Troubles seem like they're here to stay. When I get down on myself, and a feeling of gloom fills my lonely room. Too many tears offer for 1,000 reasons, and questions to ask the universe. Funny thing, happiness, 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 happiness. I sure do feel it in my bones, yeah. I said happiness, happiness, happiness. I sure do feel it in my bones, yeah. I can feel it in my heart, even when I'm torn apart. And that's just the nature of the blues.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that song. Cathy wrote that song just for the film, everybody. It's so amazing. I actually got a little tear in my eye just every time I hear it. So that this is no exception. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Gosh. We have a few more minutes to chat. Anything you want to chat about as far as aging or, I don't know, I mean, getting older, and anything you want to add? Some final thoughts maybe?
Well, I will say that just this song, Happiness Blues, is fully produced and on my upcoming album whenever it comes out. We'll see. But,
yeah.
What would I like to, well, first of all, what an incredible time we're living in right now.
Yeah.
I think that anybody that has ever wanted to do anything new, different, instead of watching everybody's Facebook posts, go to YouTube and learn how to play the guitar, or you can learn all sorts of things. You could fix things. There's so much that's available there. And also just journal. Write down what's going on. Write letters to people, even if you don't mail them, but write them. Feel the expression from your brain through a writing device and put it down. That's. I think this is such a gift to us. Right. Sure, we could go to all the negative stuff. That's easy. That's the easy part. And a lot of people do that. Yes. Well, that's my little wisdom to people is to just use this time wisely. And fortunately, in the Northern Hemisphere, we're going into warmer weather, so we'll be able to hang out, hopefully, in our backyards. I do feel for anybody in an urban environment. Think of my friends, back in New York. Yeah, I bet that's a real challenge for you. I'm also feel lucky that we're not in the depths of winter here, like gray skies and snow, and that would make things a little more challenging. Do you know Patrick Nettesheim from Guitars for Vets? No. Well, he's got this organization, Guitars for Vets, and he gives guitars to vets and teaches them how to play guitar, etc. He's been doing that for many, many years. Local guy here in Milwaukee.
And he's got like a million other people, some online guitar instruction, like he's got the chart and the chords, and you know, you can just play along with him and learn with him. So there's so many things you can do. So yeah, there's kind of no excuses. I haven't gotten into that yet, and I probably will. I feel like each week I'm doing something a little bit different with mine, because each week I feel differently about it. So yeah. So tell everybody, the audience, where they can find you, where they can buy your CDs, listen to you, that kind of thing. Website.
CathyGrier.com, CathyGrier.com. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on YouTube, Cathy Grier. This is my cigar box.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah, check her out, everybody. She's pretty amazing as a person and a musician all the way around. Gonna play us out. Thanks for being here, girl. I really appreciate it.
Keep making us all happy there, Tracy, with your very positive over 60 project. 60 project.
Thank you. The 60 project. I need to get a t-shirt so when I'm on the show I can wear it. Yeah. No, keep doing what you're doing to keep everybody happy and stay healthy, and you know, I'll see you when I see you. I can't wait to come to Sturgeon Bay and give you a hug. Beautiful. That was awesome. I love you. Thank you very much. Take good care of yourself.
You too.
And your friends and family, and give Lily a kiss on the forehead for me.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this. This is
absolutely
great.
I'll see you when I see you.
See you when I see you. And you know, 60 is great.
Good. I think so too. I'm 65 now. 65 is pretty good too. So take care of yourself so you can live a long time and we can hang out. See you later, girl.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.